So when we think about all these sorts of labels, right? It really gets into the label helps define our identity. Because if we identify ourselves as male or female, or non-binary, non-gender conforming, or so on, if we're gay, if we're straight, if we're pansexual, if we're white, if we're black, if we're Chicano, which is going to be different from a Latino kind of person, right? All of these, have an ascribed meaning. So there is an interpretation related to that. If we're Christian, if we're Catholic, some Christians don't believe Catholics are Christian, even though like Protestant faiths would not exist if it wasn't for Catholicism. But that's a discussion for a different day. So, all these things are kind of coming, and we have an ascribed meaning to them. And as a society, we react to those labels. We don't really, have them, to begin with, but when we give something and we tag it, we often respond to it, right, in a certain way, right? So there is, like, if we think about, like, this label, so if we are society, and this is, a label that we give something, right? In one way, right, society is giving this label to other people, but it also creates this reciprocal effect where we react to it. So we give it, and then we also react to it at the same time. So in this, is sort of like a generic framework that we have that applies to a lot of different things. So if we have this generic framework where we're giving labels, these can be positive, they can also be negative. Because we are in a criminal justice program, we're studying crimes and crime theories of crimes and delinquency. We're going to limit our focus on labels given to the criminal justice system, or focus on criminal justice related labels. So in this particular case, right, there are, a variety of different labels that we give people, right? We have delinquent, we have misdemeanant. So if you commit a misdemeanor, misdemeanant. We have felon, criminal, troublemaker, depending on what it is. If we think about Sade, a smooth operator, perhaps. A smooth criminal. I guess it would be another way of putting it, right? We have all these different labels that we attach to them, right? And what we tend to do is that people who experience the criminal justice system in some way receive a label. Now, sometimes these are, generic if it's like a felon, right? But we can also derive them from their offenses, right? So maybe someone is a sex offender, or if they committed a violent crime, right? They could be, a robber, or if you broke into someone's home when they were not home, you could be a burglar, and so on, right? We have these different kinds of labels that come up. If you think back to the John Ronson video we watched, you could also be a psychopath, or antisocial, or a controlling person, or whatever, right? We have all these different labels and these different meanings attached to them. So, when we think about this, then, like what this body of theories is more associated with is what are the consequences of labeling people So it's really more an examination of our own society and our own criminal justice system, and what are like the negative side effects associated with labeling people when we give them the term felon or criminal or sex offender or something like that. What are the negative consequences associated with that? Okay, so we'll pause here and then we'll move on to the next